Ukraine Today is joined by the executive editor of intellectual magazine Krytyka, Ms. Oksana Forostyna. Oksana, welcome to Ukraine Today.
Thank you, and good afternoon.
Oksana, you're participating in the third Culture Congress, which is happening this week in Lviv, and its slogan is the mission of culture during crisis. So can you tell us what is the mission of culture during times of crisis?
Yesterday I was facilitating the discussion on the matter, and I'm not sure I can tell you. My proposition to the participants was to describe not what is the mission of culture, but what is not the mission of culture facing crisis. And my personal idea is it's very important not to use culture as a tool during such crisis as we have, for example, or crisis that happening elsewhere in the world, because it's not what culture should do, actually, to be an instrument, to be a tool.
So are you saying that culture is being used to instigate the war, to instigate the crisis?
I would say that there are expectations that culture can be used, and maybe some people at this Congress also have this expectation, and I just believe it's wrong.
Ukraine is fighting the war in eastern regions, in Donbas region. So can art and culture help Ukraine during these times?
Yes, absolutely, but not in the way that many people think. I think that culture is, in fact, an effort. It's always an effort to think and to understand and to be open-minded. So it's a kind of accumulate our inner resources, and of course that's what we need during crisis and during challenges, even minor challenges.
Ms. Forostyna, how would you say the country should treat culture, should treat arts at times of war? Let's talk particularly about Ukraine. A lot of people would say that the country should not invest into the culture during the times of war because there are much more pressing matters. How would you respond to that?
I would say that that's a very light-hearted way of thinking, because during these times when we have so many hardships, it's very important to stay normal, to stay sane, and to protect people's dignity. And culture is one of the ways actually to stay normal, because this very thin surface of civilization and of culture is extremely vulnerable, and it's even more vulnerable during the times of war.
So maybe perhaps the country, Ukraine in particular, should do something specifically for the culture and for the arts in times of war, and if so, what should that be?
Well, I think it's the part of the bigger problem, because Ukraine has huge problems with its institutions, and culture, alas, in Ukraine is very dependent on public institutions, which are mostly a trouble. So that's why it's a part of the bigger problem.
Ms. Forostyna, would you say that culture can help Ukraine fight the war? Perhaps some forms of culture, some forms of art could inspire the warriors to continue fighting in eastern Ukraine?
I think culture does it anyway, without any additional efforts from, state. As one of participants and organizers of the Congress, Olesya Ostrovska-Luta recently said that art and culture cannot not to be. It always exists, no matter what. So people, especially people at war, people in danger, people in hardships, seek some way to support themselves. They're seeking something to stand on, and I think that culture can be one of these things that support them. Art objects. We know from school, we know from history. Many of them used to be that kind of inspiration many centuries ago. We just forgot about it. But I think we can find examples of the same kind.
Ms. Forostyna, going back to the forum, to this cultural congress, it is the first time that this particular congress is taking place in Ukraine. How important it is for Ukraine to have such sort of events during these difficult times?
I think it's important and it's fair, because Ukraine now, since last year and actually since the end of 2015, is the place to be. I think that along with all horrors of war, it's the most interesting place in this part of the world. It's definitely the place to be, to understand what is our world about now in our days.
This weekend there are a lot of cultural events happening in Lviv. There is the Cultural Congress, there is a festival of internally displaced people, there are all sorts of installations around the city. Would you say that, but Lviv has always been the center of traditional art in Ukraine. Would you say that Lviv is now turning or becoming a contemporary art hub of Ukraine or even of the Eastern Europe?
Well, that's not exactly so, because back in late 90s, contemporary art here in Lviv was, I would even say, flourishing in a way. The other thing that we didn't have internet, we didn't have social networks back that days, because that's why it wasn't so well known outside of the city. But sometimes contemporary art events could held here every day. So there is contemporary art here. There has been contemporary art here for many years. For example, the Festival of Performance was founded in Lviv back in 2008. So, and it happens every year. Maybe it didn't get the media coverage, but now we have just the media environment that changed in Ukraine. That's why we see that Lviv has this huge potential.
Well, it looks like with the events like these, which are happening this weekend in Lviv, the city is just continuing its traditions of contemporary art events here in the city. Ms. Oksana, many thanks for coming to us and talking to us. This was Volodymyr Sulhu for Ukraine Today, together with the executive editor of intellectual magazine Krytyka, Ms. Oksana Forostyna. Thank you for watching us.